Hey, I'm Geordie, host of the Data to Deals podcast, helping brokers get more from their listings and closing more deals. Each episode dives into what's actually working right now, making your listings stand out more, to building a standout broker brand, to using AI and smarter tools to grow your business. If you're a broker looking to elevate your game, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Data to Deals podcast.
The first thing that kind of hit me was the contrast. So you have these people that close multi-million deals and they base it on relationships, they base it on timing, they base it even on their gut instinct. And then they go back to their desks and basically just do manual copy paste data input and try to make record of everything that they achieved, which in my opinion is kind of time wasted. And I've seen this across many different industries. It happened with the UN. It even happened for people managing like ships and vessels in maritime and Middle East. So um, they all share the same problem, and that's the fact that they have a ton of this invisible labor where you actually like do something and then you have to instead of it being integrated with the systems and tools that you use, you have to actually go in and integrate it yourselves.
Welcome back to the Data to Deals podcast. I'm your host, Geordie. Today we're tackling something every broker feels, but nobody talks about: the hidden cost of your tech stack. So how many apps did you open this morning before you even talked to a client? 3, 5, 10, maybe? That fragmentation just isn't just annoying, it's costing you deals. My guest today is Anna Markovic. She holds a PhD in computer science from University of York. She's our design lead here at Duxre, and she spent her career studying how complex systems can be made simple. Today, she's going to break down why the CRE text is so broken, what the fix actually looks like, and how brokers can take back control of their digital presence, whether you use Duxbury or not. Anna, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Jordy. Nice to be here with you. I'm really excited to do this today because
Good.
honestly, the question that you just asked about how many apps does one need to open before they actually get into the most crucial things for their work, that's exactly the question that I ask every team I work with. And that's because I'm not because I'm trying to be judgy about like the tool stack and everything, but because those numbers actually help me understand where their attention is leaking and where the time is leaking and at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here and to break this down with
Great.
you.
And you mentioned this is your first podcast. Are you a little bit nervous?
Yeah, a tiny bit, but I think they'll get better once we're more into it.
Good. Yes. Well, we want to put you right at ease. So, why don't you start by giving a quick intro to who you are and your sort of background?
Oh, well, yeah, as you already mentioned, I hold a PhD in computer science, distributed systems, that is. So, by education, I'm very tech savvy, back and oriented, like complex technologies. But my passion has always been design, and my career accidentally ended up in that way too. So, I've spent around 10 years now, I think, designing, and those have been mostly operational tools, a couple of startups, but I was mostly in like very specific industries, big building products that are very niche and tailored to set of domain experts. So it was maritime. I spent 3 years at the United Nations, like unifying their broken systems and technologies for day-to-day work. And now I'm here at Duxre, trying to bridge the same gap, but within different context layer.
Okay, great. So, what would you say right now when you first came into the commercial real estate space? I mean, you've been in for a while now. What sort of shocked you about like the tools and how sort of like what they were having to deal with?
Oh, well, the first thing that kind of hit me was the contrast. So you have these people that close multi-million deals. and they base it on relationships, they base it on timing, they base it even on their gut instinct. And then they go back to their desks and basically just do manual copy paste data input and like try to make record of everything that they achieved, which in my opinion is kind of time wasted. And I've seen this across many different industries. It happened with the UN. It even happened for people managing like ships and vessels in maritime and Middle East. So um, they all share the same problem, and that's the fact that they have a ton of this invisible labor where you actually like do something and then you have to instead of it being integrated with the systems and tools that you use, you have to actually go in and integrate it yourself. So um, the gap, I think the biggest gap and the biggest issue here is that the tools that they're using on a daily basis are haven't been designed for them by the people who do that work on a daily basis too. They have been designed by somebody who's like maybe just seen a greater picture or has a very high and abstract notion of what the broker, one broker needs to do. So, and that's how we ended up here. So you manage a ton of spreadsheets, emails, follow-ups, contacts in a separate forms, likely listings on several portals, and at the end of the day, all of that time you could have spent like making connections and building relationships, which I think is like true broker calling.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at these tech stacks, why do you think they're so sort of broken, especially in the commercial real estate? What is sort of the common theme that you found between shipping, the UN, and commercial real estate?
Well, I think that the fact is that it's not like one single app being broken. It's the lack of integration between them. So the lack of seams between them. So for instance, you're a broker and then you get a lead from a portal and then you go and manually enter it into your CRM. And then you do a separate app to manually follow up with an email. And then you log that interaction somewhere else. And that's all great. But and the same thing happened with the UI. We had like many different apps because this was like a very huge document workflow, and we had different apps that all fulfilled a single person, but like moving one single document from one stage to another required a ton of manual work. And I feel that the same thing is happening for brokers. So every tool in itself is an amazing tool, but the fact that you need to like go and do this invisible labor yourself, that's how information gets lost. That's how you get frustrated over time. And um, that's what essentially like is the biggest cost. It's not the money or the subscriptions that you're paying, but it's actually like the time that you spend like doing this transitional work, so to speak, between different apps. So, if I had to give one advice to brokers in this kind of that are potentially listening to this in this sense, that's that, for example, spend a day just taking notes of all the different like manual interactions that you need to do on a daily basis, and when you compile that list for a day, that's the roadmap of what you need to get fixed first.
So, Anna, you were mentioning tracking time for a day. One of the things that I've done in the past that's quite interesting is actually expanded that even longer, like into a week and sometimes even longer. And then you really see like where your time is going. Have you ever tried that yourself, or would you recommend people really kind of do that to see where the big leaks are?
I've tried it myself, especially when I transitioned like from more proactive design roles into this gap bridging roles where I also like help the coders, but help the designers and like try to integrate these two seamlessly. And at that point, I realized that I'm actually spending a lot of time on context switching myself. So, and that I'm more in like meetings or messaging people and like taking notes and commenting on stuff. And I felt less productive than I wanted to be because I wasn't like fulfilling my purpose because as a designer, I expect to spend most time in design tools, right? But then I spent most of my time in collaboration tools, which actually meant that I'm moving towards a different type of role. However, for CRE, given that brokers would most likely like to remain brokers, so they're not like doing any career transitions, I think for them it's actually important to analyze time spendings and like try to cut the costs of unnecessary daily activities and tasks that can be automated. That's the point.
Yeah, and I think it's something as simple as just using a spreadsheet, right? I mean, you just break it down in your day and you use time blocks and you see like, maybe you don't have to talk about if you were doing something for 10 minutes, but like a time block where you see like, actually, wow, I didn't realize I was in this tool as much as I was or was getting, whatever, bouncing around. Um,
Very true, but unfortunately, from personal experience, even the 10 minutes block eventually add up for to a few hours of you doing something that you actually thought would take just a few minutes of your time. But that's from my personal experience, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same for CRE people.
So in the context of a CRE person, let's say they did do that. What sorts of things can they do to mitigate that? Because they may come back and say, "Well, that sounds great, Geordie and Anna, but I need these tools." What's your sort of idea on things that they can do to sort of simplify their stack or, um,
Simplifying their stack is definitely one of the things that industry is likely um, to take as a direction. And I think we are currently facing that in lots of different industries. So it's not CRE only. But I know that we are currently like living in this AI bubble where we anticipate that every AI tool will basically help us achieve some of our goals and automate some of our daily tasks. And I admit they're doing quite a good job in that sense. But I think what this industry is kind of striving for and craving is basically an operating system, like a unified solution, one stop shop for basically all of the brokers' task integration layer for the different platforms they're currently using. And that's the thing that we are trying to build here at Duxre, and like the solution that we are trying to propose and the gap that we are about to bridge is doing this, like proposing a unified solution with an AI enhancement with a goal. With the most like crucial goal being like spending the least time and manual and work and invisible labor and stuff that like require context switching and focus on what those brokers do best, and that's building relationships and reaching out to their contacts and making deals eventually.
Okay. Can you, sort of unpack that? So, where do you start? And what does that really mean, like an operating system, broker controlled operating system? Like, where do you start if you're one of our design leads here at Duxre? Like, how do you start with something like that?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm going to try to put it into plain English so it sounds
Okay.
like very understandable and accessible for everyone. Well, think about your phone. So you take your phone, you have one device, it handles calls, it has maps, emails, messages, and you don't need to like go to a separate app to upload your camera image just to be sent by a message or like to attach it to an email. Your phone essentially does that. So, what we are trying to achieve here is that you have a single source of truth, and you basically have one platform where you will input your data, manage your listings, and then what happens from there, it automatically picks up from your activities. So basically, um, if somebody viewed your listing or inquired about it, the platform will automatically update and let you know. And you don't need to go to a separate spreadsheet or input that or like write down this is the email of the person and I need to follow up on Thursday, because the goal of the operating system is that it will actually like suggest for you to make a move at the right point in time. So they will keep track of the contact data and they will let you know, okay, they've interacted with your listings this number of times, and maybe it's time for you to follow up. And the third and the most maybe one of the just as crucial things is that it will also allow you to this operating system should allow you to manage your digital presence. So I know that we still like are somewhere in between the old means for CRE, where people just go, for example, and do upload their listings to these big portals and like present themselves in this way. But I think that we'll be slowly moving into the era of building brands for these brokers. And ideally, you would even manage your brand and your website from this operating system without the need to actually switch to different logins or apps or whatever.
Okay. And what would you say what are the non-negotiable tools that like this sort of in an ideal world, what do you think the CRE people need? Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. Well, I would opt for a single source of truth. So it's I believe that currently, like as we mentioned, you have lots of different tools, for example, for managing storage, then managing contacts, then writing follow-up emails. And I think that eventually, like what is not negotiable is that you have your data presented in a single application as a single source of truth that you can always revisit. And ideally, you can connect it to like other um, digital presence places so that you ideally you wouldn't need to manage anything from multiple portals.
Mhm.
It's a single one. And what I also think is non negotiable, because we mentioned today and talked so much about this invisible labor thing, you need automatic reaction from the platform that you're interacting with. So, okay, there was some action on your listing or something, but you don't want to be the one like doing all the prep and putting the data inside the app. You want the app to be reactive for you. And that's non negotiable because it allows you to um, keep focus on just deals and relationships, and all the prep work that needs to be done eventually, that could be done by your operating system.
Yeah. So I think one of the big problems that you'll agree that happens in the CRE space is that you might get a lead from LoopNet and then maybe some from email or something like that. How can like this single operating system sort of eliminate that? Like, I mean, because people will still use LoopNet and other tools like that. So how can they sort of take advantage of this single source of truth, as you say?
Well, for one, I believe that single source of truth will definitely like allow them to connect to different types of portals, marketplaces. I think that's the vision that Duxre is trying to follow with their product. But yeah, speaking of like making use of LoopNet and all the other types of real estate marketplaces out there, I think that integrations will be the key part for uh, the CRE industry being connected to the new tech era and AI space and everything that's been going on recently. And it's only a matter of time that we are going to actually make use of these tools, just like any other industry. I mean, it's not that CRE is broken; it's that actually it needs some more time to um, make a relationship with all the tech advancements that we've been seeing nowadays.
Yeah. It seems like maybe one of the big, issues for the legacy tech is that there's so much involved with trying to bring in new AI tools. How do you feel like these, platforms can integrate with AI and stuff? And how are you using it even in your own workflows?
That's a great question, and I'm firstly going to share an unpopular opinion, and that's that we are interacting with many products, just putting a chatbot out there and calling it AI.
Yeah.
But if it's just a chatbot, it's most likely uh, a fancy search bar with a better marketing team. So it's not really just having a chatbot is not necessarily you interacting with the AI. So I think that the goal for AI nowadays is to, and you can always think of it this way. So if I'm trying to use this product that claims to be AI, and it does its stuff. So, did it really save me some time, or did I still have to do the same work and then also interact with a new product? So, if the answer is the first, then I guess that we are dealing with AI, and I think that um, all of the like very specific what we are seeing nowadays is that different industries will actually have um, new I'm gonna call that like very niche specific agents, and that's what where the industry is going for. So for design you'll just have design agents, and that's very cool because even us, I know it's very easy for developers because they got their agents first, but even designers, they're going to get their agents. And then CRE is probably going to get their agent pretty soon. We are working on that. So
Hmm.
hoping for a successful story there. So I think that the crucial thing is like really being focused on the industry and not so much on general purpose stack, and trying to use the data that is very specific to the industry to make to derive like conclusions that are helpful for brokers, because that way in the future and down the line, now we are focused on like saving time and doing um, different daily tasks and like operations that we know the outcomes for. But I think that by using the niche specific data, we are eventually going to move into the prediction mode, which
Hmm.
is what AI is definitely a very, very, very powerful tool for.
Okay. Um, I want to touch on something that's probably going to be affecting also the brokers is by renting their sort of using renting their leads essentially on these platforms. They don't really own them. Like, how can they take sort of and start building their own brands with these some of these other tools that are coming out?
That's actually a very good point because when you're and that's how they I mean because CRE is so about relationships and handshakes and stuff like that. It wasn't really like built with software in mind. Software was always an afterthought. So whoever came up with solutions that were originally tailored, so before this new AI era, the solutions such as very large portals for people to publish their listings, that was built with the primary intention of like growing the portals. So when you're renting space there, whoever looks up your, for example, commercial space or something like that, they will end up on the portal, and you're eventually boosting the SEO for the portal. You're boosting the brand of the portal, and if one day you decide to stop renting that digital space, you just disappear. So it appears that it was all in vain, even though you were trying so hard to build your brand. So I think with the new solutions, we'll be going more towards the personal website, personal brands. When somebody, and you also mentioned like that leads are shared across, shared with the portal that you are publishing your listing on. And it's not maybe just the portal, because your listing and five other competitor listings might have been shown to the same lead. So you're eventually essentially sharing leads too. So I think where we're moving is like personalized websites, branding, your SEO, your niche, and ideally your audience. So, and ideally, when you build your website, you'll be able to connect it to that one operating system that we mentioned, and that's exactly one of the Duxre goals. So, we are trying to come up with these branded, your personal websites that will be living on your domains. So you will be boosting your own SEO, building your own marketing, but also showing only the data that lives in your operating system and avoiding the double data management and stuff that we mentioned as one of the industry problems.
So essentially, when the leads come, they're not getting they're not being shown to competitor listings. The lead, you have a lot more control. It seems like the biggest thing
Exactly.
for the brokers
That's
is
the whole
having
point.
control,
So
right?
exactly. So when a lead ends up on your listing, on your website, that's going to be only your lead, and that's going to directly update the data in your operating system and in your uh, single source of truth. It's not going to be anybody else's lead. You will not they will not be shown competitor listings or anything like that. They're um, there to multiply the value of your business and not somebody else's.
Okay. One of the things that you are particularly involved in is building broker brands, like sort of helping them envision their brand. What would you say are some of the biggest recommendations or the tips that you've learned working with brokers, like building these sites and helping them to manage and build their brands?
Yeah, that's a very good one because I'm still having second opinions on what's the ideal outcome for the broker. This is a very specific industry, and I feel that um, they're more focused, and that's a very good thing. They're very focused on the outcomes and not so much on the design.
Mm.
But I sometimes feel that they um, very much piggyback on the brands that they've been associated with before, which is a good thing as a social proof. But also, when you're building your own brand, I think what I would advise brokers is to also have some um, creative freedom and envision their brand like 5 years down the line. So those are your stories, your deals, and it's okay if they don't look exactly the same to the ones that you closed, for example, in your previous company or the company that you're already still associated with. So um, yeah, so in terms of UX, I think we're still trying to um, follow a very um, guided flow for the UI and UX of brokers listings, and that's because we are still trying to test the market and see if there's anything that behaves better than something else. But I think that is also a good thing for brokers because they do not need to worry about that. So basically, what they need to come up are their data, their deals, their name and their bio, and we'll wrap it up as a brand and present it to their audience
Do
on
you
their first.
That makes sense. Do you find that the brokers are, generally happy to take your advice and just take sort of templated thing there's certain things that brokers need to be able to do, and they're happy to take a template, or are you finding that each brokerage is quite concerned with certain aspects of their brand, or what's your experience so far?
My experience so far is that majority of them is very happy to take direction, and I really appreciate that because honestly, if I was to buy or sell some property, I would probably go to a broker and trust their opinion on it. So I think the same thing is here. They kind of rely on our expertise to deliver what is best for them in the digital space, just as we would if we needed to do anything with real estate. So there's a very clear division of skill sets, and we're trying to come together and make a better solution for the both parties.
Yes. One of the things that I know that you have been working on in particular is some of the marketing service. Can you kind of expand upon that? Because we know that brokers are busy. They don't like to always have to do things. They want to be helped. Like, what are the things that we're sort of helping and offering that are sort of done for you?
Yeah, that's what we call a part of our Glove service. So basically, when we are speaking about that invisible labor, that's also like writing the same email 1,000 times or following up with the same flyer or whatever. So what we are trying to offer as a tool and as part of the help that Duxre is um, doing for all the brokers is that marketing service, which will basically help them with nicely designed emails, maybe like something little for not sure if we were going to move into social media, but that was one of the things that we also discussed. But primarily, it's like tracking emails, trying to make to put our skill set to use so that, for example, when you're doing email design, you want to optimize the number of clicks, leads to your platform, number of listings open, and so on and so forth. So, as part of the marketing services, we are aiming to go beyond the software as a service design and do more of the branding. So, the websites, like the personal brands, and the emails and all of the accompanying branded assets.
Okay, great. Before we let you go, is there any other tips or anything that you want to leave for our commercial real estate brokers that are listening to this?
Oh, well, if there was one tip, then I guess it's experiment with the tools out there and try to find the one that really fits you. Because I know that we are all sometimes difficult to move to new platforms. We are very used to the ways that we were doing before. So I think that the most important thing now is to embrace the era. And as I always tend to say, nobody's going to be replaced by the AI. It's just that people who use the AI who might come on top of us. So I think that's the key takeaway from this episode.
And from design perspective, what are some of the best tools that you've been able to find to sort of help with your workflow?
Well, I think it's definitely Claude. I think Claude is inevitable nowadays
Yeah.
because it can really. Um, ChatGPT did that before, but I think Claude got that to a whole new level with um, you basically having a UX partner that challenges all of your ideas and also comes back with insights from the market and researches into it sometimes to find studies that you might have missed when you try to back up your design decisions with data. But also in terms of like visual space, there's Figma Make that's done an amazing job with prototyping and like pixel perfect code. Although I have to say the code itself isn't really production ready, but for demos or like explaining to devs that this is the interaction that I want to end up with and not sharing just a screenshot, that's an amazing tool. And I've also been looking forward to experiment with one of the newer tools. I think it's called Lovart or something like that, which is basically a new design agent out
Okay.
there. It still produces only the screenshots, but I think
Okay.
it's getting there. Even the design industry is moving.
So what are the tools? So
Fast.
there's Claude. Sorry, what's the
Claude, Figma Make, that's a
Oh,
part of
Figma
Figma.
Make. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a new part of Figma that basically wraps the whole ChatGPT chatbot section and allows you to do vibe code, but basically copy and paste directly from designs. So it
Okay.
kind of really creates whatever was there in Figma.
Okay.
Not perfect code. Not
Mhm.
sure if it's even.
But
I'd say
good for
it's not usable.
prototyping, as you say. Like, and when
For
we say this,
prototyping,
like how
exactly.
it applies to commercial realists is like if they want to make a flyer, or, like they can do other thing, lots of
It's
design
yeah,
things.
it's the flyer, but also from my personal experience and one of the client calls for marketing services the other day, where we had this client really seeking a bespoke personal website and something really tailor made, and he had this idea of all of the different interactions, and all of that is cool, but we are having a very limited time of on our hands, and we need to kind of secure the direction and make sure it's okay, the design is nice, but it's also technically feasible within the time frame we have.
Yeah.
So using Figma Make to actually make that design live and allow the client to interact and see what the outcome will be once we're done with it, just to make sure we're all on the same page. This is an amazing tool for it because before, like I don't know, a year ago or 2 years ago, I would basically have to go to a developer and say, okay, please code this for me or create 1,000 of same screens
Yeah.
in Figma just to showcase the interaction. And this has been done without a copy paste, and it's very interactive and um, it was a really, really useful tool for the call.
Oh, that's great. Amazing times that we're in, where we need to keep checking in with these tools because they're changing so fast. Anna, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
And
having me, Geordie.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us on the Data to Deals podcast, the podcast that cuts through the noise and gives you real tactics working in commercial real estate right now. Each week we go deep on one topic. No fluff, no filler, just actionable strategies you can use to find better deals, analyze smarter, and close with confidence. Whether you're sourcing off-market opportunities, underwriting your next acquisition, or scaling your CRE portfolio, this show is built for investors and brokers who want an edge. New episodes drop every week, so make sure you don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. This is the Data to Deals podcast. I'm your host, Geordie. Let's turn insights into income.